This is the unfinished business. I have to finish this business here. This is the post. You may, for what I'm concerned, I don't care. You might even want to put this portion of this video on a pause, read over, and then proceed watching this, or you can do that at the end of the video. I don't really care. For me, this is of extreme. It's priceless for me, this stuff here. This is priceless for me. This stuff is fucking priceless. For me, this stuff is priceless. Totally priceless. Now I will continue with the video in respect to British oils in the Novo Mesto city. When I was just... The stuff I'm about to talk to you concerns this kind of issues here. Concerns Josip Broz Tito, my being labeled as a British spy at age 4, as American spy at age 4. That's the kind of stuff I will be talking to you in this video. It's Prince Charles inside of this kitchen where I am at, right here, who was giving a lies to the people about this stuff. He did mention them. Few things about my being a sharp child. It did have to do with the espionage. This was a Slovenian site he have spoken to about these issues. Apparently also American site, whoever that was, and was convincing them about that actually is possible that the child could do such a stuff. However, he did not go for the age 4, and he did not go for the age 5, and he did not go for the age 6. He went on together with the Josip Broz Tito, with the Slovenian Borut Pahor Milan Kučan, for the age 7, maybe even 8. So we are talking about year 1979, 1980, and what became afterwards with the who also was present all along, psychiatrist Peter Kapš, enforcing crime against me when I'm going to say in 1979, 1980, and even in 1982. In 1982, I was about 11 years of age. Years of age. Why would they do this stuff? First of all, let's discuss what happened. This here is what happened. That's why this is so important to me. This is why this stuff is so important to me. This here is what happened. This here. This ugly stuff is that happened here. This kind of stuff here. This kind of stuff is what happened. This was absolute. This is an absolute animal when it comes to the so-called King Charles. This is an absolute animal. Absolute animal. This is not finished here. That's why this video. But this is pretty much what happened. And I described you here about how he wish for postcard and that kind of stuff. Read this shit over. The only thing I'm gonna add to what you read right there is that it was more violent than what is written there. The postcard had a very, very, very specific meaning, but it was not about the postcard, it was about something completely different. It was about stamps. This here is the city of the Novo mesto here. Okay. And there was such a little drug store. They would not sell drugs, but they would sell stamps. And actually, they had few of these stores, right? But store I am referring to was located about like this here, and then there was another one here, and then there was another one behind the corner, and there was another one, big one here right across the street, where Charles also would go for a walk to buy, not really to buy stamps and shit, but go to the city to see people. All these stores, everywhere, you can see every store, everywhere, is where they tortured me inside. Bestial torture. And this started since my childhood, earliest childhood, from store to store. And so Charles wished for stamps when I was just maybe in a first grade of the grammar school or second grade of the grammar school. They tortured me probably in this store, I would say. It doesn't matter now because this no longer even exists, so it doesn't matter. In the store where they would sell little books and stuff like that, like comical stuff, newspapers, but also stamps and letters and stuff like this. And right next to that store was a watch store, but really they tortured everywhere, in every store, in every business. Now it was extremely violent what happened in my first grade of the grammar school, with maybe even second grade of the grammar school. Year, let's say 1970, 1978, 1979, with a police officer giving me a beating inside, and for my revolting against one, physically. He carried a complaint to Prince Charles, to the British royals, to the Prince Philip, to the Princess Anne. And the next thing that you see is that torture intensified with Prince Charles visiting this store, supposedly buying us stamps, talking to the owners of the store, which insisted that I am a violent kid, that I'm a violent child, and that's what he needed to apologize for violence against me. Oh, it's much worse than that. The stuff that I was writing on the blog did not start, when I was 10, 14, 20, 25, 30, 40. It started way, way, way earlier. After this case, I will explain to you about why this video matters to me so much. Why I want this to be preserved. He promised me retaliation for this stuff, claiming that I disgraced one in the city. And for the next few years, it was a torture in the name of stamps, and it was a torture in the name of what became later on known, just as you see it, and also just as you see it here, a postcard which they published in what is it, 1985? I don't even know. (1983, 1984, 1984, 1983. Doesn't really matter. What matters is something else. He wanted me to remember this stuff for the next few years. It was nothing other than torture. This happened in the incident probably happened in the first grade of the grammar school, and maybe even in the second grade of the grammar school with his stamps. It was a repeated incident. And yeah, he would write letters. Years went by. That's correct. That was a postcard in 1984. He came in my face with a postcard. It was inside of the living room area, and I did this totally wrong here. The year inside of our house was 1986. I made a mistake. So I did not recall the whole incident. Now I do recall the whole incident. 2 years went past, and he would take me to buy in another store like this, where they would sell these cards. And instead of here, it was located right here behind, as you make a turn here, and then it goes to this direction, the road, you know. You come to the end, you see that's the end of the road. You see this big building right here, you can see it. And then that's where you would go left. And then right there in that corner, there was a store. And in 1984, it was torture that went on between 1981 and 1982 in the name of the stamps and letters, postcards. A Princess Anne would send me for a postcards. She would say, now you will go and you will get me some postcards. And she started to do this shit to me when I was just maybe 3 years old, maybe 4 years old. I would go with the police, literally like this, across the bridge. Princess Anne would say, so I don't have to go pick them up. You know, originally the one who was doing this shit was Princess Anne. She was buying a postcards for the Andrew and for, you know, for all the British royals that were coming to the city of the Novo mesto. And it was always after she would do something for me nice, and then would be, and now you have to go buy for me postcards, which I love to do anything for these British royals. No, make no fucking mistake. I love them to death. Anything they would ask me, because they were so nice to me, I would just go and do it, because they were so nice to me. And whether she would bring me something, or she would buy me something in the city, maybe, whatever it would be, to gain my, kako se reče, naklonjenost. Yeah, I don't know how to say in English this. This is when you basically corrupt somebody, when you purchase somebody's sympathy, all right, child. And she would say, now you're going to go and you're going to buy for me these postcards and letters. Will you do that? Of course I'm gonna fucking do that. I told her always, I am gonna do for you anything you want, since I was almost baby. But guess what happened? They would take me to the city, and inside of the city it was a torture from store to store. It was bestial shit that went on. Now, it did go some time without my looking at her strangely, with my wanting to explain to her what happened, but some way, somehow, she was screwing around with me. It would be just when I would want to explain to her that always somebody would cut in front of it, or she would just stop, interrupted the whole thing, and somebody else would be more important, and this and that. And I just didn't get turned. Princess Anne, always, some way, somehow, I would not get my turn to explain to her what is going on. And she knew about this, and she said to me, she was very brilliant. She talked to me. She said about certain things, how what an importance that those things have, but it's too bad. Sometimes we cannot resolve them because we don't have enough time, or there is somebody else who comes and cut in front of it, and so on and so on. You understand what went on? She was giving me a lesson about the importance of the messages. And so they did to me several times like this, and I don't know, maybe fifth time or something like this, I was willing to, I don't think I made it even the fifth time, maybe the 10th time. I was just willing to have total fight, without them allowing me to speak. I didn't have to speak to her because she understood everything about what went on, and instead of that, I got spanking. That's what I got at the end of it. More beatings, more torture took place. And so first grade, second grade, third grade, Charles would go sometimes with me to the city. Charles would go sometimes with me to the city, which I was so proud about that. Where if the Charles would go with me, I was like, I did not walk. I almost like walk on the air. Literally, I was walking in the air, literally. This is when I felt, fuck you, basically. And they all know. Princess Anne knew this, Andrew knew this, they all knew about this shit, the way they were pulling me for the nose. It's like, you get the Charles. We're gonna give you a Charles. And so, Charles, in my eyes, this was a god. This was somebody that nobody can fuck with in the city. I mean, and you next to him, this is the way they explained to me. So imagine that you go without like a small ant, and now they tell you this kind of stuff, and you go to the city with him, and the small person as you are in a first grade, in a second, first grade, not even in a first grade of the grammar school I was, you become like, grow taller than the fucking building. I mean, this is it. Do you what the fuck? Do you want some? I was like picking up and children and adults and anything that anybody would want. It make me feel so. I was like, let's see now, Now, Charles didn't want to fight, and at one point in time, I told Charles, listen, man, at least fucking allow me to defend myself. It was already the kids that were beating the shit out of me, weaker and everything, herds of kids, and I didn't like this game of being passive about it, and boy, I got beaten up every time more and more. It was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So this is a British, education that I got in the city of the Novo mesto. They were beating the shit out of me. So we go first grade, second grade. We're still going for the fucking stamps. And then I don't know who it was. It was one of those aunts. from Britain, older lady that said, maybe, who knows, maybe it was a Mother Queen. Maybe it was a Mother Queen who told him to go to pick up, that he had to go pick himself up. I don't know what the fuck it was. She purchased the letters, but she did not supposedly purchase. There was a Queen mom from Queen Elizabeth, literally mom from Queen Elizabeth, purchased the letters and a postcard, I should say, I don't know what, and it was like this, and Anne said, it's enough for me, it's enough for the Andrew, and it's enough for whoever it was, but one is missing, and that's for Charles. So what that means, you and Charles are gonna go to the city to buy a letter. Aren't you happy about it? Well, the thing is that as much as I was beaten up to the Pope after so many years already, it seems like I still didn't have enough of this British lunacy. So yes, I was all thrilled. I was all excited about going again with the Charles. And, you know, Charles really fucked me that time. It started with Charles claiming that I behaved badly with the police, which was not true at all. With accusing me of being not nice to the people inside of the stores. This was a second grade of the grammar school. And this was a fourth grade of the grammar school. With Charles, so the fourth grade of the grammar school, we're talking about, I don't know, 1982, with taking me behind that, as you turn left, just as I demonstrated to that store, and told me, well, he bring me to the store for a fucking beating, to make the story short. They have beaten the fuck out of me, insulted me. I mean, when I say beaten the fuck out of me, this was in physical, and more than anything was, my God, I would have fucking killed you if I only could. Insults, you subjected to MK Ultra. Incredibly ugly stuff. Incredibly ugly stuff. And that's how I got a lesson from Charles in my fourth grade of the grammar school in 1982. It was still about the stamps and about the letters. Yeah, and then in the sixth grade of the grammar school, when we moved here to the Krka village, that was in 1986, that will be then. Inside of the living room area, he said to me, no, he already said that he was always using a police. He instigated that the only thing that I will do for him in the future is buy a nice little postcard. A nice little postcard with the city of the Novo Mesto in it. How was me with the city of the Novo Mesto? I was not cool at all. I was in second grade of the grammar school when I told Charles that I don't give a three fuck about everybody in the first grade of the grammar school, that I don't want anything to do with postcards, with the stamps. They were showing me stamps, Yugoslavia and Novo Mesto and this and that, and I told them, all of them, I told them, I don't give a three fuck about your Novo Mesto and your Slovenia and your Yugoslavia. So can you imagine, I knew all about, before I entered the grammar school, about Yugoslavia, Slovenia and so on. Can you imagine that you At age 6, at age 7, that was like in 1977 or 1977, that I told salespeople, police, don't you want, but don't you like this? Don't you like your city? No, because it was so saturated with the violence. This is a city of the violence, pedophilia, violence, unlimited amount of violence. So we're going to get to that second part, because of which I started this video. It's not really because of the postcard and shit. It just makes an interesting story. And it's pretty much the same shit. Everything that I have written on my blog is the same shit. And those that know Charles, those that know Windsor's, not only Charles, but Windsor brand, family, they know that everything I have described on the blog, those that know these people, none more than British MI5, British intelligence police, this is exactly how the brain functions. And as you're about to see, you cannot even blame them for it. It was a part of their British etiquette. Etiquette means bon ton, I don't know how to explain myself, type of behavior, you know, like you give an etiquette, like you give your business card, and like you would give somebody a business card, this is what you have already established routines, behavior with which you present yourself to certain, you know, to people, let's say, to whatever public, or, you know, it might be different with other people, whatever, like police and so on, right? So you don't take the same approach, but you have certain ways that you have established and so on. In 1984, it was a police officer whom Charles in charge to harass me about this issue, about the postcard. How are you going to buy? He said to me, nah, you're not going to do anything to any one of us. You're just going to buy a postcard with Novo mesto on it. And the only thing that's going to happen is, maybe, he said, maybe you're going to send one to Charles, to Britain. Wow, that's like ultra sick shit. What the fuck, eh? Can you imagine to grow up in a city like this, and a thug who was involved in violence tells you, you're not going to do anything to any one of us, basically disregards you like shit, like nobody, says to you, the only thing you're going to do is you're going to get the postcard, maybe, like, in a sense, like if you're going to be really good, in that sense. And it was Princess Anne who was involved in this shit. Princess Anne. Man, a female. You know, that unlimited trust that I had in these people, who was behind this shit. A female. So diplomatic, but so abusive. And it felt like they were fucking around with my sanity, like, you know, maybe we're gonna allow him to send the card, in that sense. Maybe. And this is a time when I started to, it was more and more issues like this that, you know, started to form who I was, who these people were, you know, how to pursue these people. And I realized that, what do you mean by this maybe? You know, from unlimited trust, and the year was 1982, to maybe, you know. Then I was taken again to that store also by Charles, to remember that. And then in 1986, they presented me the postcard that you see inside of our living room area, inside of our house, in this house. New living room area. We were sitting with Father. Father had still that regulator for the light, for the brightness of the light that Milan Kuchan extremely disliked, and forced my father to remove the regulator for the light because it was too luxurious for the kuchan for the somebody like my father to have stuff like this. No, they don't care about if you sell the house from your father, whatever the money might be that you get, and you move to the village where the land was at the time practically free. They don't care about any of that shit. They don't care about where you get the money. They care about whether you deserve or not. This was Yugoslavia. This is the way it is. Maybe it's the same shit in Britain. I don't even advocate this shit anymore. This is a thuggery, the whole thing. So in 1986, it was inside, and they presented me with a postcard, and so went on to revive this violence related to the postcard. Ugly stuff. Ugly stuff. Today, I want to talk to you about more sensitive issue. I want to talk to you today about espionage stuff, about Josip Broz Tito, how I became labeled as an enemy of the state, some people would even say as a baby. When I was just maybe 3 years of age, 3 years old, but there was one thing about me. I watched people. I watched and I studied people as a baby. I wanted to understand adult people, how they behave, what they do, how they move, how they go back and forth. And I also do not understand why, I mean, you know, there's one thing about the British Royals is that they insisted on me, but in this video I clarify why they insisted on me. They insisted on me for... They would cut themselves hands off. They would cut their shoulders off before they would give me away. That's one thing that I have to admit, that I can with the difficulty imagine this. I was in a completely different side of the Europe, from a really small house in the city. Yeah, even that you are next to Josip Broz Tito, even that you are taken into Vietnam when you are 1 year of age. All this shit. There was so much shit that went on that, despite what is obvious, they needed this. They needed me like Sahara needs water. More. It's hard for me to understand this shit. One thing I have to say to you, they were like attached to me, like, I mean, literally like this. I mean, no way to separate. No way to separate. Josip Broz Tito did not like me. In the city of Novo, Mesto, they did not like me, man. And they brought 100 children to Princess Anne, to Charles, to Andrew over the course of the years. Children, semi-babies even, trying to convince them that they are a better option than myself. They were doing a city, Yugoslavia, the country. Belarusian children got on the picture, Russian children got on the picture, Polish children got on the picture, Slovakian, Czech, all the Eastern European children. They got all the Eastern European children on the picture with the goal to replace me some fucking way, somehow. It wasn't even for Josip Broz Tito no more, man. Russians would give anything in the world, and this shit did not stop. I no longer was even child. They continued. They attempted, like early teen, like 12 years of age. That's when they stopped, basically, sometimes at 12. Still they go. 13, 14, 15 years of age, they stopped. It was too much. This relationship of British royals with me was just completely inseparable. But it was about British royals, but more than, it was about other politicians too, but the British royals were the most. They would not give this away. The one who was completely insane about our house, more than anybody in Yugoslavia, were Russian presidents. I should say Soviet Union presidents. We had Soviet Union presidents in our house, in our old house in Novo Mesto City house. Fuck, almost 24/7. If it was not a current president, it was previous or the future or not one. The whole fucking battalion of these people. We would always have delegation, a Russian delegation in our house. This was surreal, this shit. Surreal. And that kind of stuff with Soviet Union, with the Russian presidents, completely crazy about me. Totally crazy about me. Russian presidents, Josip Broz Tito would even replace me. But the one who would not allow Josip Broz Tito to replace me were the Soviet Union presidents, Russians. They became fucking addicted, man. They just, for me, it was like I was extremely close with them. I remember those Russian presidents that were becoming politicians that were becoming in our house, and this was just the Soviet president did not trust Josip Broz Tito. Literally would have owned Soviet military or whatever attaché would have near in the building that would come report himself on a daily basis. He would come to check on me. This was the total alarm for United States of America and for the Britain. They knew that this is the card to play. This started since my earliest childhood. There were Russians who said that they knew my grandfather. Really? No fuck. I don't know how you would miss him. He disappeared out of my life when I was just 4 years of age. But for sure that they met him. That's a very sad story. I'm not going to go into it this time. And I did already spoke about that one. But I'm not going to repeat that. As much as they wanted to replace me, they couldn't replace me. What happened when I was 3 years of age, maybe close to 4, but I bet I was 3 years old. I watch people I was not even interested in much unless they stimulated me in playing with the toys and shit. But I was really not into toys. I was just more interested in, about the people, seeing the people, what what's happening, what they're doing and so on, how they talk and this and that. And this is basically when I got to know Charles, Prince Philip especially. Prince Philip was always, what happened with these British royals is they were always clean. Prince Philip was a man who was always clean. They wear nice, positive, like light color suits, and they knew what I like, because MK Ultra, for the baby, practically child, it's not really. It's a horror, and I really valued them. I started to value them. I started to value these people for a Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip during their visits to Slovenia, with what became Anne, also Anne and Andrew sometimes, and Charles. I would start to, they would exchange themselves, but you know, sometimes they would dejourner. I don't know how I say dejourner. Dejourner is when you stay for many days on the road, that kind of stuff, or you come more often. They would exchange one another, that kind of stuff, you know. Edward was the youngest one. Edward, not yet. Prince Andrew, also not yet. Prince Andrew was still growing up at the time. He was still not trusted to the degree that he would be, you know, function so independently. I remember when Prince Philip let him get into this. I will get to this stuff. But Princess Anne was, you know, like an older sister of mine. I had a sister, but Princess Anne was like an older sister. It was just like some kind of an older sister. And before I was age 3, trust me, I started, maybe when I was 2.5 years old, I started to sort people out, classify, categorize people into different groups. On my own. Some were simply bastards. Maybe this was a part of education. Some, they give you never anything other than a slap, or dirty look, or threat. Others, you could even get something from them. British Royals loaded me with stuff. They would always use other people to give me the stuff, but they loaded me. They were always next to those gifts. But no, the main thing is that they were very nice to me. I love Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. And clean. Like light colors and clean and very pleasant. And my God, I felt like, you know, I mean, I had a mom, I had father, and then I had one more father, and you know, I had one more mom, and I have one more sister almost. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, when these people were around, stuff like this was not bad at all. And so I was 3 years old when maybe that was a part of education too, I don't know. They were looking at me, and I don't even know how I started to communicate with them with looks, you know. I would give a look like, you know, if I deemed there was a bad lady or somebody like this that was, no, I was just behind them. I was just, and if it was something good, I would give it this. And this was it. And we started to communicate with this shit. This shit went on for about maybe 6 months. When I was 4 years of age, I don't know what the fuck I did. In terms of alert that I created, this was a Prince Andrew came, and he was not the only one. All these young men, they like to look a little bit around for some lady and shit. or even something else that I have spoken about. And it was this women they had. They were very, very bad women. They live right across the street, on the other side of the street, or some from Serbia. They have some Serbian Bosnian military, with military officers like KGB people literally preparing a trap for them. They had and girls underage. They have all kinds of shit going on. I got to see this stuff. I got to watch this stuff. I was next to them. I understood what they are doing, and I observed them catching people. I observed them ambushing, I should say, catching people, getting people. It was a completely different with domestic and with the foreign people, of course. They were doing a sting. They had officers. They had these people. They had 2 apartments like this prepared to get you there. They were catching people, and then they wanted to get also foreign people. There was one guy, a Serbian guy, who was doing this kind of shit, and he became totally obsessed, not specialized, but due to maybe success or whatever, this guy was just running these operations. He was obsessed that he's going to get them, and he's going to get them, and he's going to get them. Even the politicians told no, and this fucking guy was just that he's going to get them, and no matter what the fuck he's going to get them. That he can get anybody, and so on and so forth. I don't know. He enjoyed in this shit. I don't know what the case was with this guy. This was a little bit extreme guy too. Well, it became evident this was a Josip Broz Tito who ran all this shit, and Prince Andrew was about to make a mistake, and although I did that stuff already, I remember I was evidently aggressive about by literally pulling one on the side and giving him clearly a signal no, saying to him no. For this kind of stuff I would get punished, severely punished, with these people saying to me, I saw you what you're doing. They would pull me on the side. It would be punishment. If you do it ever again, and so on. And I did it. I did it for the hell of it. I did it. Because I consider them as a friends, as a family. And Andrew pulled me on the side. There is a bridge over there that you can see on the postcard. It's a different bridge than what it looks now, with people actually even crying. Not in the direction of the city, but it's other direction. It's direction that is like on a way out of the city, on the side of the river where our house was, not too far. Just barely, maybe some 50 meters from our house is this bridge here. Kandijski most, Kandija bridge. Yeah, this is the bridge right here. And he pulled me also. He brought me here. And because I guess that he was afraid to say to me anything, you know. And he said to me, thank you. He said to me, thank you. I will speak to in Britain. He said, I'm going to speak to obviously the next one who spoke to me about these things was Philip. This was here behind these bushes here, behind this. See, that's still, you can see old bridge right there. And he told me here in this area, that's where he would bring me. And he would say, I'm going to speak for you in Britain for this thing. The one who spoke to me next was Prince Philip. Edward also knew about this stuff, and then it was Prince Philip that started to give me literally espionage lessons. Prince Philip. Prince Philip brought Prince Edward, and he gave the assignment to the Prince Edward to talk to me about espionage, to teach me about the espionage. And sorry, I made a little mistake here. This shit repeated again when I was 5 years of age. When I was 5 years old, this stuff repeated again. And so the Prince Philip takes control and assigns Prince Edward twice. This was already the second time that happened. Okay, this is the second time that happened. Must be very careful with the stuff I say. This is the second time that I bailed Andrew out of the trouble. Andrew was a fucking wreck ball, man. This guy was just looking for trouble. It was just a trouble. Andrew, the middle name of the Andrew was a trouble. Nobody was a trouble. Not Edward, not Charles, even less. Charles had to behave, because Charles wouldn't behave, Charles would get in trouble. Edward was just a wreck ball. And what happened was, I got very upset. I got very, very, very upset because I knew about this shit. And what Prince Philip was saying to me is that he's going to teach me about something that I did it on several occasions. Not only for Charles, I also did this shit for Charles and for Andrew, but I did it for American politicians also. It was American politicians who observed me giving them alerts about certain people when they would come to our house. You know what I mean? Do you understand what the fuck I'm saying? Now this guy comes on a picture and says that he's going to give me a fucking lesson. In fact, there is a Prince Edward who's going to take it from here and teach you about these things. And they started to talk to me about how, that's right, what we do is, we do this kind of stuff. We work with one another, we help one another, we have to watch for one another. The next thing that you see, I got upset at the time. I got extremely upset, and they got upset with me. Why they got upset with me? Because I felt violated. As a 5-year-old child, I knew exactly what Prince Philip was doing. What Prince Philip was doing is basically he was stealing my progress. This is the shit that nobody was teaching me. This is the shit that they were teaching me, except that I was not aware of it, and there is no proof for me to consider that they were teaching me even today. It's a bit weird, but the previous years I described to you what Princess Anne was doing to me, that was some sort of premonition teaching, like to develop like fifth sense, to feel things before these things can develop into something completely different. That's what they were doing in a sense. They definitely were doing that stuff. But the initiative for me to get beaten up by the Josip Broz Tito police and Josip Broz Tito alone, that shit was not thought anywhere, because this is the price. I got fucked for that stuff badly. as a child, as a baby, literally. I was punished for that shit. I was proclaimed as an enemy of the state. Boy, when I was 5 years old, Josip Broz Tito spoke to me. Even before that, 4 years of age, he was giving me a warnings. If you will continue like this, you will be an enemy of the state and so on. Do you understand this? We have to do important job and this and that. I fucking understood shit. So I started to completely change the picture in the heads of the British royals on time. Not princess, but Queen Elizabeth was certain that in Yugoslavia they don't have the technology yet which would allow them to, I don't know, video record or audio record. I don't know. She said to me, if we don't have, they don't have it. Okay, they don't have it, and the way they were certain about it is when it goes out on the streets, basically, when it becomes accessible to the broader public, to the broader population. This is when we know they have it. You know, and it was just not technologically released yet. British and American governments had this shit, but in Yugoslavia they did not have any of that stuff. And so what happened was I got very upset with Prince Philip about this, because I felt that he is stealing from me something I developed with my own initiative. Oh, everything was about who accomplished what, like some sort of individualism. But at that time, Prince Philip started to give me a lessoning that we all work together. I didn't like this idea. Why? Because they were always stealing from me everything. If I went to play with the kids or whatever I was doing as a child, they would steal everything from me, destroy things, and so on and so forth. It was a sickness known as espionage illness, naturally developed through environment since my earliest age, with children literally incited by the teachers, by instinctly, instinct is the word, fifth sense, whatever, instinct. Go and destroy things. Instinctively knew what their job was, and it was instinctively that I knew what my job was. So that we work together is impossible, because I was the only one who was punished, and I got punished also because of British and Americans. They got me also in trouble already. I was on my own. I didn't want any other than solo, because I didn't want to get mentally ill. You get fucking mentally ill. You're a fucking group. Will you work with one another? Yes. This is a team job? No. This is no fucking team job. This never was no fucking team job. This never was a fucking team job. Never ever was a fucking team job, because I always had a knife in my back. This is how we started off. I didn't even like Philip when he was talking to me, but I was like 5 years of age. I think I actually saved life the second time. I saved the life to the Charles. Charles was looking for some lady. It wasn't even Andrew, and Andrew told him he already did this shit for me too. And that's how they realized, there you go, I'm going to get you. When I go back to Britain, I'm going to get you whoever. And that whoever, of course, was who other than Philip, Prince Philip was. That's how that stuff went. And so Philip started to talk to me about this stuff. I didn't like it so much that they started from being very nice. They make face like, what's the matter? You don't like us, in that sense. And it was just not that I don't like them or I wouldn't like them. But the thing about it was that just, this is my fucking domain. It's my fucking property. You fucking teach me about something that I started already, that I got going, and I got this shit going even for the cost of being punished to save your fucking ass. In a way, they were considerate. In other way, they were completely inconsiderate, if you understand me what the fuck I'm saying. You know, this is how this story was born about me being born for the espionage spy and so on. Blah, blah, which Prince Charles then went on to tell people, but he lied about my age. This is the next where we are heading it. Crazy. 4 years old, even 3 years old, and alerting foreign diplomats to watch themselves so they don't get into the trap. The traps, they had traps. They had traps right here. Let me demonstrate you how the trap looked like. The trap looked like this. This is the bridge here. If it's gonna take me. All right, it's taking me. There you go. Slowly we're getting there. Shit. So you can turn either to the bridge. It used to be that way. We had traffic both ways. It kicked me straight out to nowhere. Why the hell he did this? That sucks. Let's just go bridge. Kandiski Most. It's also known as the Kandiski Most. Okay, so this is at the bridge, top of the bridge. So this is the area where the British Royals, they would tell me whenever we have something important to talk to you, we gotta take you right here. You know, remember when I show you those bushes? That's what this is. And so what happened was, our house was here, 50 meters away. This is our house here. Ah, shit, man. It doesn't go anywhere, this. Our house. So the trap, the way the trap looks like, the trap looked like this. This is the trap. Is it gonna take me? No. It's not taking me. Let's see if it's gonna take me to the other side. No fucking way. Yes, we broke through. Okay, here we are, man. We're not gonna get any closer any fucking place. Our house can still be seen. You see, that's our house right there behind this apartment building. One lady that would do the stuff was located in this building here. I think it was on a first floor. Therefore, not on the bottom, but on the middle floor. You know. Another lady that they had was located, and it was not one, was here in the back of this building, and then they had the center of this stuff. This was, some people would say this was like a hooker place, this place. I knew all these ladies. I mean, ladies liked me. I mean, ladies would do anything for me. I mean, this is just crazy. They claimed that I had this kind of powers only because I was a child. Honestly, the ladies liked me so much that they would even open their legs, and I was a child. In these buildings here, this is where they had everything here. Japanese, when they would come here, they would stay inside of these buildings. CEOs, executives, Irani politicians, top Irani politicians would stay here. They have all kinds of people here. And of course, they got them also ladies and all kinds of stuff. Here you could get in a trouble so. Yes, this is right to the school which I attended. This is the grammar school which I attended. Here you could get yourself in a trouble so easily, so quickly. You ask, what about the people who live here? It's not possible. Yes, it is. Josip Broz Tito would also stay inside of these buildings. They would have the parents' families disappear for the duration of the special visit, if it was necessary, for Illuminati. It was arranged. They give you 1 or 2 weeks of vacation on the Adriatic coast, whatever. Go. or they resettle you into a house. We have a neighborhood here, this area here, Gabrielčić area, this area here, Črtalić area, and the only thing is the stuff that I told you. It's a housing, all housing projects. So yes, everything that I told you, everything is the way I told you is exactly what it is. So you could get yourself in shit so quickly, and to be honest with you, not Charles and not Andrew were brilliant minds. Charles, pretty Charles, I must say so, you also like to think with his dick instead of his head. I will be honest with you, I'm a judge, and stopped using his dick instead of his head in Slovenia sometimes when I was age 7. That means I was already in the first grade of the grammar school. That's when everything changed. That's when Princess Anne became no more any kind of jokes, very strict about the boys' behavior, whether that be whoever the fuck that be. Everything went into the ears of Prince Philip, I should say Queen Elizabeth, straight to England. The visits no longer were as frequent. Occasionally, maybe, very, very occasionally, seldomly, they would still appear talking about Elizabeth and Philip. Very seldomly. Not anymore like it used to be, because it was a grammar school. For me, a difference, totally everything different. All of a sudden it changed. And so I thought that this would be very, very, very important to clarify. Josip Broz Tito was giving me a death threats for this shit. I would be right here like this, right here like this, with the people talking, or maybe even down further, the asphalt that I demonstrated you, our entry, inside, outside of the house, whatever the case might be. Yes, I would signal people. The trouble, literally, as they said, the trouble comes to your home. You don't have to go out. It comes to your home directly. We're going to come to pick them up and so on. Maybe they were also playing with me. I don't know. I know that Josip Broz Tito was... I screw him up. That's what he claimed, that I screwed him up. Was giving me death threats when I was 3 years old because of this shit. 4 years old. At 5 years old, Josip Broz Tito wanted to kill me because of this issue. This is very, very important. Extremely, extremely important stuff. Extremely, extremely, extremely important stuff, this one. Extremely, extremely important. Man, he would get fucking red. Like I would not even recognize him. He was not that fucking bad. But honestly, I felt that he could fucking choke me in a moment. You know? That he wasn't like this at all. He totally fucking lost it and saw in me adult person when he was talking about this stuff. He was totally, totally emotional. How I fuck him. And I said, no, I did not fuck him. I never will fuck you, and so on. He said, but this is my druže. This is my druže, you know, these are my friends, you know. And he was showing me, he was pointing me at the Serbs, at the KGB people, fucking officers, fucking military officers, fucking police officers, not police officers, but high-ranking, you know, people. This is my druže, you know, drugovi, and so on, you know, and I was like, what the fuck? I mean, what now, druže? Fuck this, you know, what, you know, who you, fuck you, you know, you do violence to me, and you, what the fuck? I mean, druže, you know, what the fuck? I told him, who the fuck is your druže? You know, what the fuck? Am I your druže or they're your druže? I didn't back down. When he started to get in my face and talk to me, oh, this is my drug, this is my drug, this is my friend, you know, this is my friend, we work together. You know, they work for me, we work together. I said, really? I said, really? If they work together, then, you know, you don't work with me, then you don't work, we don't work together. Basically, I explained to him when I was 5 years of age. If, you know, if this is your druže, then you're not my druže, basically. If this is your friend, then you're not my friend. You can't be. These people involved in torture. That's when he understood the implication of this shit. He did not even track crap he was doing. He was not even capable to understand the fucking world he created, basically, I was in. So, it was death threats, it was all kinds of shit. It was so bad, so fucking bad, that it was so fucking bad, and he did this in this area of the bridge here. Here. He would pull me, Josip Broz Tito would pull me on this side of the bridge. Everybody had his ways. British, they would pull me on the other side of the bridge. British had me on this side of the bridge. You know what I mean. And Josip Broz Tito had me on this side of the bridge. You see, it never came to me until right now. His area was right where he pulled me, here, and it would be also here. Josip Broz Tito would be here. Yeah, Josip Broz Tito would be with his UDBA people here, and they started to fuck with me on which side of the bridge and this and that. Things got very, very, very bad, extremely bad, and Prince Philip came with the idea that maybe we could find a compromise between, for this espionage. Prince Philip suggested, what's the fuss? You're not going to get us anymore. I mean, you had your chance and you blew it, and so now as well as mine, why don't we do it together? He proposed Josip Broz Tito that, we would all espionage together. And too late, I didn't want to espionage for Josip Broz Tito. I had a game problem with Prince Philip. I was about 6 years of age, and maybe even 5 years of age. 5, 6, and 7. 3 years maybe went on like this. And for 3 years, I declined to spy for Josip Broz Tito. I wanted to be American, British spy. Yeah, this was my purpose in life. That's how I saw it. And they couldn't convince me to be a Yugo spy. They couldn't convince me to be a spy for the Yugoslavia. So things went out of hand for me even more. The city was evil as fucking dog. Like, the city, honestly, the way the city looked like, the way this city looked like was like, it felt like every person wanted to tear my pants. Like you would release the dog that would want to tear the shit out of your pants, fucking bite you. That's the fucking description of the city from door to door. Well, that was Josip Broz Tito, and I was tough. I remember if you were good to me, and I remember if you were bitch. And from door to door, it was bitch. Yeah, the whole city came, the whole school came. 1,000 kids and 1,000 people from the city came, giving me a promise they're gonna fucking lynch me for the Marshal Josip Broz Tito. Yeah, this is the way this shit is. Remember when I told you about this stuff here? That's where the city ends, and you have to turn the left. Yep. This is where Charles and I had at 1984 last problem. The store was about somewhere here like this. This shit was so bad, the stuff that I did, that not the stuff that I did. This was a serious problems for the Josip Broz Tito. It was a very serious problem because he did not treat me well. He death threatened, and people started to take a note of it. The proofs escaped from Yugoslavia to Britain, to America, to Germany, to Italy. French used to visit it a lot. And he started to get sick more and more. Now you get to understand also the nature of his sickness, what kind of sickness was hunting him. He was violent all around, and this guy definitely was a pedo, without absolutely any doubt about it. To protect Josip Broz Tito, they would send a local judge here from the city of the Novo mesto. A judge would come from the city of the Novo mesto to our house, and he would stay with me. This was also to protect the father from the stuff that went on when I was a child. They started to rewrite everything that went on. And he would stay with me in this part of the house here, he and I, and nothing really would happen. He, however, would have a Walkman on, or whatever gadget he was using to audio record the whole thing, and would talk to me. Then he would discreetly exit the house with me, and would even supposedly pay the money to the father, who, however, had nothing to do with this shit, other than what I stated. Maybe if he provided for him, and he signaled him that he's going to help him out, evidence against me. No, that means that they went on to rewrite all the evidence that went on, all the crime that went on. And totally same was with the Josip Broz Tito. I will never forget the frequent visitors to the Novo mesto, like this guy here, these two guys. This was the Josip Broz Tito team. I don't have to get into any more specifically about it. Psychiatrist cops learned about this shit. So, psychiatrist cops, this is a regular animal. When this man was young, this man was a piece of fucking shit. I am surprised that this guy ever even decided. I'm actually surprised that he left to study university to become a psychiatrist. Honestly, from what I recall, this was a street thug. More a street thug, like a leader of the street thugs, than anything else. His personality was criminal already since I remember one, and I remember this fucking piece of shit in the picture who fought for the reputation of the Josip Broz Tito. When he learned about it was also Josip Broz Tito, he was completely crazy. Remember when I told you they repeated this shit? They repeated this shit about Josip Broz Tito when even Josip Broz Tito died already, because they wanted to rewrite the whole fucking thing. So what started at age 5? Police went on with Josip Broz Tito to rewrite just before the Josip Broz Tito disappeared in 1979. You know? because it was bad, because it was so fucking bad. If you tell shit like this, like I told you, loudly to the child that is 4 years old. I was in 1975 is when I was 4 years of age. Then you better make sure, if somebody has the proofs, that you get more proofs about this shit in 1978 as it did, and probably even in 1979. Josip Broz Tito was shaking because of the scandals that I explained to you about, the stuff that he did, death threat and stuff like this. Because proofs existed for sure. There is no doubt about it. And meanwhile, I did pretty well in the city of the Novo mesto. And meanwhile, this city started to take a different shape. Among all those 1,000 adults that came in my face with the idea to lynch me, there were also adults that usually stepped on the British side. And some of those that stepped on the British American side were given the audio recording devices from the British royals. I remember this very well too. And maybe even cameras, I have no fucking idea. Now you started to understand the implications of this shit. Nothing ever happened from this espionage. Russians eventually learned about Josip Broz Tito doing also attempt to espionage together with the British Americans, that kind of stuff. That stuff did not even have any kind of potential to begin with. So I thought that this is exceptional video. I thought that this is exceptional truth that was well worth to preserve. Psychiatrists Peter Kapsch continue to pose like a gang, the same, somewhat based on description of what went on during my youth, childhood, and was trying to get with Milan Kucan and others proofs about, and started to convince me that did not happen when you were 4 years of age. It did not happen when you were 5 years of age. It happened when you were in a 3rd grade, 4th grade of the grammar school. And then it grew into the 5th grade and 6th grade of the grammar school. They didn't want to know anything about it. And frankly, I don't think even the British royals wanted to know anything about it, because if they would, this shit would come out. So I thought that you do hear this from original mouths, basically. From me, myself. That's what I wanted to share with you. People who heard about something like this could possibly not believe that something like this could have been possible, but it did happen. It did happen. It was like this. And now you heard this with the greatest detail about what went on from my mouth. And trust me, they tried to fuck me so bad so that I would forget, that I would confuse, that I would not recall what exactly took place. And this is exactly what they do when something important takes place. They continue to bring you back, and they try to change the scenario, and they threaten you with the years. They try to convince you that you were already that age and it's not possible and this and that, and if you say you crazy, psychiatry and this and that kind of stuff. So all I'm going to say is thanks for watching this video. It's again 8 minutes after midnight. My father is at home for elderly people, where I am simply not allowed to go see one, as you know. They don't allow me to see my father. They don't allow me to spend time with my mother unless I come between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the morning with my mother, accompanied by my mother. Those are the things that matter to me. I don't feel comfortable with these people, as you can imagine. This is just to alert about the corruption, what this, call it whatever you want to call it. For me, it's a scum, it's a filth that started this shit in 1972. 72 continues to enforce against me in 2025. Thanks for watching this video. not too happy, but just because of my father, because they keep my father inside in there. This is a state-of-the-art video, the truth as it was, so that somebody else not gonna have to lie to you as they already have. Why is this video also very important? This video is very important because it goes to show the British mentality, royal mentality, the way they operate. Once they get whatever they want to get, you are no longer even an option of any kind. It is just as simple as that. It goes to demonstrate the ethics of these people, this royal family. It's extremely valuable to me. And this shit that I described to you today, they always try to forge. You do something great, they learn about that you did something outstanding, and the next thing you do, they pose next to you and they pretend themselves to be a teacher. So what they do is they try to change the dates. Then it looks like they teach you and then you did something, which was not the case in this case. They try to take absolutely credit for absolutely everything. And through my case, it became evident it was actually impossible to be next to them. My life turned into a nightmare completely because of these people. Yet they were stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing. And on top of the stealing, what they were also doing is, well, they were copying the stuff I was doing and using it on their own. And as you see, I didn't even really exist, right? I didn't even really, other than what they needed me for, I didn't even exist. You see, before you know, right, Josip Broz Tito tried to fuck them. They tried to catch them. They tried to do this and that. But what you got, the next thing you get is Prince Philip, Charles, other royals offering them a partnership in espionage. You know what I mean? So, you, as a human being, you're just fucking worthless on the picture next to them. That's very, very, very valuable. And it didn't start when I was 20, 30, 40. It started when I was child, man, when I was 3, 4 years of age. They use you and then they spit you out like you never fucking existed. It's very important video because this shit repeated over and over and over and over and over, the same concept with them. After 38 years of torture, these people dumped me into the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje. That's fucking unheard of, man. Nobody's and nothing, however, at the same time became known as Zuckerbergs, Elon Musks, etc., etc., etc. A bunch of whatever, whoever, out of nowhere, appointed as you know, whatever. You understand my feelings, you understand me, what the fuck I'm saying. In the process, they did lose nothing. I created the whole fucking case. The entire politic that went on for the last 53 years went literally through this case. And that, my friend, makes me extremely, extremely unhappy about these people. Extremely, extremely displeased when I see them, actually, anywhere. You get to understand me now, why this shit is so deep. It ran deep because of who they are, because how they did this stuff. This you will also hear from me. After saving who knows how many lives, British, German, American diplomats that would come to Novo mesto and rather did stupid, embarrassing stuff, or were about to do, or some of them even deliberately did, so they could compensate that other side, supposedly the enemy side, and did so to change their mentality, their thinking. I was accused by Queen Elizabeth of committing, I don't know, I have no idea. She claimed that I did something to them. I might have described that stuff already, I don't know, it just doesn't come to me, but she accused me of, I don't know, betraying them, but under question mark, stating that we did not determine that for sure. And that was just before our old house that I demonstrated you was gone of the picture just before we settled inside of this house. After all these years, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know what year it was. Maybe it was 1982, 1983, I think, that she accused me of 1983 probably, that she accused me of betraying royal family, that I put them in trouble. Probably saved lives of some 50 fucking diplomats that came to the city of the Novo mesto. That they were ambushed and they were going to ambush them with the pedophilia and with the females. Including the British royals' lives. Everything went on the same shit. It always, whatever accomplished, never was valued. It was just appreciated. It was acknowledged. And sooner than not, I was again thrown on a rail for the train to fucking run me over like a dog, like a stray dog or something like that. Acknowledge that I did something great, good, and so on, and again dump on like a junkyard dog on a big question mark. In fact, that question mark always would turn into kachinga, boom boom, beating, more terror, more torture, more problems. These fucking people wanted to retaliate for giving good, basically. And yeah, that translates into some form of sickness, because you keep coming back for more to those people that you should know by now that they don't really appreciate you. And that's how violent that other side, Serbian, Slovenian and Russian side was. That was their job. It doesn't get anything filthier than this. British tortured in Britain throughout entire Britain as much as it possibly could. Involved psychiatric hospitals and so on. So this is, and it started in almost at my birth, literally at my birth. It's like you fell into some kind of a hellhole, man, and you just can't climb out. The worst thing that can ever happen to you, and they do warn you out. They eventually kill you. They did throw me inside of the psychiatric hospital after 38 years of this shit. Paved my life with forced unemployment from A to Z, and when it comes to forced unemployment, was also torture inside of the school, beginning with the kindergarten and grammar school and high school and so on. That's secondary school and so on. Forced unemployment. That's basically what you do is violence inside of the school, and MKH and all that stuff. This is unprecedented. Unprecedented how I made through the school, through the grammar school, how I eventually went through. You read the blog. This is real.